Hello, guys and gals. Me, Mutahar. And do you guys remember about like a year ago at this point that we actually ended up looking at something known as the OceanGate, submersible crisis? A point where a bunch of rich people spent about $250,000 per ticket to take a submarine that was piloted entirely by a Logitech game controller all the way to the bottom of the sea. Now, if you were following the story, you knew that there was a moment where they went completely missing. And for the next couple days, the entire world pretty much speculated on what happened to a bunch of rich individuals, some of whom were complete billionaires, okay? Why would somebody spend so much money going to the bottom of the ocean, highly pressurized, dying within an instant? Why would somebody do it? So, of course, a few days after, there was a ding that was heard, but it was pretty much theorized when these people didn't surface, the amount of oxygen that they could have was eventually gone. And if they weren't going to die out of a lack of oxygen, it turns out the actual OceanGate submersible burst completely, okay? So, to give you a quick idea of what effectively happened, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to this video by No Clues, which showcases how when you apply just the pressure right there, boom, things just explode right onto you. Now, this speed was captured at 1/25, I believe, per second, okay? 1 in 25th of a second. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've seen that amount of crumpling right there, I have seen BeamNG crashes, the worst of which, where at least somebody could look like they come out maybe in a coma. If you were sitting inside the submersible right at that moment, you might have heard a little clink, but the rate at how you died and were shredded into liquefied human remains was so fast that your brain probably couldn't even calculate and register the actual event. So yeah, this is by far the most gruesome yet painless way to die. Okay, everyone in this situation was gone within a fraction of a fucking second. So obviously, the United States Coast Guard decided to send an investigation, and they actually found footage of the thing right here, ladies and gentlemen. This comes at us, 2024, Charleston, South Carolina, the United States. So a courtesy video, watch this one. So you can see during the actual search over here as they're going down, you can see the submersible right there, okay? And I believe that's like the front end that wasn't blown up. It's the one part that wasn't completely crumpled with the people inside. There's some of the machinery right over there. And it's just what appears to be the nose of the actual thing. You can see like OceanGate, the Titan submersible, literally plastered right on the side. So there was some more footage that also existed out of this too. Like if you actually look at closer dives, you can see that's, I believe, what the scrumpled version of the actual submersible will look like. So the human beings that literally were within there died so quickly. Again, they couldn't register anything that happened. They literally were probably looking out of a window, maybe at the monitor, and boom, done. During this entire event, unfortunately, 5 people, including the CEO of the company, ended up actually, completely dying because of it. Now, it turns out that there was a hearing in the last few days about this situation, right, with OceanGate. And the CEO was somebody that literally had all the hindsight provided to them, yet still let themselves and 4 other people die out of nowhere. So if you go to the actual OceanGate website, it used to look something like this, where you could engage with multiple versions of their actual subs. So some of them were like the Cyclops 1, which apparently had a depth rating of 500 meters. Then you had Antipodes, which is 305 meters, and the launch and recovery platform, which obviously this the second part, not happening. But of course the Titan, which had 4,000 meters of actual depth to it. So nowadays their website looks something like this. OceanGate has suspended all exploration and commercial operations. Because yes, when you have your submersible implode on you, not only are government regulations going to kick in, but nobody's going to want to sign up with a company that had all the foresight in the world. So one of the actual letters they had from the Marine Technology Society back in 2018, long before this stupidity could have occurred, they ended up actually getting a message. Who got the message? Stockton Rush, the actual CEO of the company, who passed away with the actual Titan crew. So they said, the letter is sent on behalf of our industry members who have collectively expressed unanimous concern regarding the development of Titan and the planned Titanic Oh my God, no, don't call it Titan. Oh, they did everything horrible here. Our apprehension is that the current experimental approach adopted by OceanGate could result in negative outcomes, from minor to catastrophic. I love how, the range they've provided is literally from, 0 to infinity, okay? Like, dog, you know the way this company was acting? It probably was only going to be catastrophic. So what they said is the MUV industry has earned itself an inviolable safety track record of the past 40 years. And that's partly due to the diligent engineering discipline and professional approach exercised by members of the industry. Yeah, because when you're sending an entire underwater vehicle, the pressure of the ocean, you really have to rate for it, okay? It's why a lot of those submersibles that the U.S. Navy uses are designed with the same level of care and engineering as, ships we send to space, okay? Because when operating in highly dangerous environments, dying at a depth in the water is literally about the same as dying in the vacuum of space, okay? The water breaks into your vessel, and within a fraction of a second, your body has completely imploded on itself because of the pressure of the actual sea, right? So when you don't spend the fucking money needed to engineer a proper product, actual calamities like this occur. So when looking through more of the photos of like the actual OceanGate expedition, this is what it looked like, at better times. And then of course, this is what it looks like just shortly after, as soon as it reaches that certain specific depth. Now, of course, when it comes to the actual control mechanism, what appeared to be the main control was this controller attached to this program they made to control the actual motors and the functionality of the ship. Now, I remember back in the day, and I think I also said the same if I'm not mistaken, that the US military also uses controllers. However, there is a key distinction. If the US Navy uses an Xbox 360 controller, it's probably for one aspect of a submarine, not completely controlling the fucking thing through a controller, right? Imagine if you dropped those in the middle of an expedition and one of those analogs went pointing up or south. You could seriously fucking injure yourself in this situation, right? That's how scary this stuff ends up being. But again, you don't need my ass to tell you this was an engineering failure. A blind child that was just born negative 30 seconds ago could tell you this whole fucking thing was the stupidest idea ever performed in the history of man. So anyways, there was an actual hearing that was done by the Coast Guard in September 27th of 2024, where they were actually talking more about what was the actual happenings behind this situation. So it's about 7 hours and 16 minutes long, but one clip that I wanted to show you that really kind of sets the tone for what has happened over here is this clip. Watch this.
It ended, the conversation basically ended when he, after explaining that the Coast Guard had tried to shut him down down in California, and that he wouldn't operate there anymore, but that if the Coast Guard became a problem, that he would buy himself a congressman and make it go away.
So yeah, you literally heard one of the individuals associated with him close to this project basically say, hey, if the U.S. Coast Guard tries to stop me from operating my stupid extreme fantasy business, then I'm just going to buy a congressman, okay? So clearly, Stockton Rush did not care about the safety of other people. In fact, if anything, he just wanted to go into the bottom of the sea, probably make a name for himself, break some record, and risk his life, and again, the lives of other people. Look, I'm totally okay if people do stupid shit like this, as long as the only one they hurt is themselves. But when he's got him, his family, and the family of other people, and other people directly involved, bro, you gotta be a little goddamn careful with things right there. But he was not careful, and in fact, more shit came out. So back in 2018, an individual known as Lockridge had penned a report titled OceanGate Cyclops 2 Quality Control Inspection Program to the executives at the actual company. And of course, this is coming from ABC News. So what they had said was basically, now is the time to properly address items that may pose a safety risk to personnel. So again, they've been disconnected. So in this report, Lockridge had basically listed 25 issues he found with the actual submersible that was present. So some of these issues, according to this article, include glue that was coming away at the seams to zip ties. Not good, okay? Lockridge claimed the flooring of the sub was layered with flammable materials that release toxic fumes. You can't even fucking breathe right down there, Jesus Christ. In the report, Lockridge dedicated several pages and pictures to the carbon fiber hull. And there's probably going to be some things wrong with this hull that was worth looking at. And ultimately, if this hull's integrity was really the main factor of this thing imploding, which it seems it does from this report, then yeah, Stockton Rush has nobody else to blame but themselves. And it's kind of a shame this guy had to die in this process because Ultimately, if he was alive and nobody was, dead in this case and this issue was discovered, this guy should have been buried under the jail right there. And the thing is, I could probably be a little bit more like relaxed making this video if this turned out to be somebody who wasn't really negligent, they just really believed in this product, henceforth why they jumped into the submarine. But they kind of knew that this project wasn't really going to function in the best way. So, according to some individuals who go to universities, places that it really seems like the engineers for this monstrosity should have probably went to a little bit more of, said that having a carbon fiber hull in the first place probably isn't the best idea, okay? What they said was the material used for the Titan's hull was this carbon fiber composite, and it was well known that under compression loading, the fibers in the actual composites are subject to micro buckling, okay? So if that is the case, it's one of those reasons why these guys most likely heard a ding, but this is such a quick death that you don't even hear a ding. This thing just crumples right on into you. It's literally like just imploding into this mass, right? Like this black hole mass at some point. Realistically, the people who were down there, maybe they had some idea they weren't coming back, but at the very 0 hour, quickest way to have gone out. It's actually insane. Now, according to David Lockridge, okay, he was allegedly wrongfully fired even after bringing up all of these concerns, even under like a whistleblower sense. One of the actual publications, Metro, says that Stockton Rush, the CEO, had once said, there's a limit. At some point, safety just is pure waste. I mean, if you just want to be safe, don't get out of bed. Don't get in your car. Don't do anything. At some point, you're going to take some risk, and it's really a risk-reward question. I think I can do this just as safely by breaking the rules. I'm going to go on Stockton's words here, allegedly, boys. Don't get out of your bed. It's unsafe. Don't get into your car. It's unsafe. Now, I agree, okay? The act of driving sometimes, if you really think about it, not to get you guys existential here, if you drive, there's a good chance every day could be your last, right? A vehicle could hit you in the middle of nowhere and boom, you've seen God. Getting out of your bed, there's a good chance a fucking nuclear bomb drops onto your head, okay? Not every day, there's not really a heavy chance for it, but boom, you're right seeing God. I think there's still a big difference between doing those two activities, getting up and getting in your car, to willingly paying $250,000 to send into a shoddy Kijiji-ass submarine, okay? All right? At some point, dog, you are putting yourself in front of the landmine, all right? Goddamn. I see a landmine out there. I don't just jump onto the first claymore. I avoid all of them, okay? All right? You were warned. You had the hindsight. People told you were an idiot, and you still decided to do it. Now, look, at the end of the day, when one of your engineers comes out to you and basically says, boss, this isn't going to work, and, they file a whistleblower complaint with OSHA, which is something you should do if you find out that the company you work for is run by complete fucking idiots. And if you get fired, it's totally okay to countersue that company because they're actually not listening to you. This is one of those stories where, like, the more you watch the readings, the more you listen to the hearings, the worse it gets because it was a completely avoidable situation. And literally, if anybody had just slightly less of an ego, like literally, if you just did not have the ego to begin with, you probably could have gotten away and maybe made this a safer expedition. Who goes to such a length without actually testing the equipment they're on? Apparently Stockton Rush, which is why he basically commits a he basically committed a big stupid. All right, he went down into the bottom, got himself whacked, and 4 other people in the process. And ultimately, again, like I said, could have all been avoided, but it didn't. Ladies and gentlemen, don't spend $250,000 going into a submarine piloted by a Logitech controller that deep, okay? With the billionaires involved in the situation, I figured you guys at least had some Ivy League intelligence to not make something that stupid happen. But the human race will continue to astound me, okay? You can give me all the fucking money in the world, and if you asked me, damn, Muda, you want to go down to the Marianas Trench in a Craigslist sub? My answer to that, 1,000% of the time, would be no. And we're not friends anymore. But you and I are friends, ladies and gentlemen. So if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like it if you dislike it, I am out.